to the InView podcast. It's Ari here with Irvin. And we have a very, very special guest with us today. We have Kristin of the Crew Cleaning Services.
Let's go.
This is really exciting because Kristin, you and I have known each other since high school.
Yeah, it's been a
you went to
while.
Little Rock.
So she went to Little Rock.
I did.
Yeah,
I went
so
to
we're
Little
all
Rock.
little Lobos here.
Yeah, and before we actually get started, I do want to give a shout out to Jordan in the back.
Jordan.
Can't leave him out.
Can't forget our Jordan.
Yeah, so you were from Little Rock then?
Originally from LA.
Uh-huh.
I lived in Lake Los Angeles for a little bit. And when I graduated high school, I lived in Lancaster.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you were freshman to senior in Little Rock?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. And what year did you graduate?
2008.
How did I not? Did I ever meet you? How is this possible? Like,
I don't know.
Because what year did you graduate?
07.
Oh.
Yeah.
07.
Yeah, just a year.
I graduated in 2009.
Oh, okay, never mind.
She's a year older than I.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, gotcha.
We met, if I remember correctly, we met on the bus, didn't we?
We did meet on the bus.
Like on the
cool.
public bus. Because we used
Yes.
to take the public transportation
Okay.
to school.
to school. Or I would take it from school.
Yeah. And I
That's
played basketball and softball for Little Rock. So
Okay.
I would miss like the school bus.
Yeah.
And I would take the city bus.
Yeah.
If my mom didn't pick me up.
Yeah. No, I've had that happen. I did sports as well where I wasn't able to do the actual bus.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take either my friends would give me a ride or if not walk or if not take the city bus. And where I lived, walking sucked because it was at least
For real.
Yeah. It was like, bro, like 3 miles away from the school. I'm like, this is going to be a walk.
3 miles with no sidewalk.
Yeah.
With no
Let's be
sidewalk.
clear.
Lots of dirt. Yeah. Those roads in Little Rock are not very well maintained.
Yeah.
For sure.
So as far as acquaintances, were you guys more in that realm or were you guys actually developed an actual friendship throughout the time that you guys have known each other from high school to current time, you and Ariana?
We actually started off as an acquaintanceship and then our relationship grew just from familiarity, running into each other. And I have a big personality, and to be honest, most of my friends are my friends because I pursued them. Because I'm like, ooh, okay, like I dig your style. Like we need to be friends.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm Kristin. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Cool. Very outgoing then.
And then actually, I went to Humboldt State, and Ariana's little sister
Also went there.
also went to Humboldt State.
My little sister Giovanna.
That's
Yes.
cool.
So she actually like reinforced our relationship as well. And then we just have maintained contact over the years, pitched ideas to each other, just shared like what we're up to in life. And we just stayed locked in.
That's awesome. And as far as like the schooling that you went for university, is it still within the same category of work that you're doing now, or is there anything that you use from university to your current now position of career?
Yeah, and this is a great question. This is something I was actually going to get into too, like how your education has helped shape and develop and kind of led you to the path you're on now with your business.
Yeah, because the only reason I'm asking is because I'm not educated at all.
We can tell.
I want to hear the story of like, I went to university and this is how I used it rather than me. I didn't go to university.
Okay.
I don't know how
like
I
when it
use
comes to like a business, you're saying, or just in general?
In general.
In general.
Yeah, because you do hear a lot of people go to university and they don't have nothing to do with what they went to school for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would agree that is pretty common, right? But that is not that's not the case for myself.
Oh, there you go.
I actually do apply both of my degrees in my entrepreneurship and in my career. So I initially attended Humboldt State with plans of pursuing a degree in cellular molecular biology with a minor in chemistry and a minor in business administration.
Wow.
And then I realized during that time, like when I was studying, I would be in the lab on the weekend, I'm like, this isn't fun, and college is a choice and I'm paying for this. So I should enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And so I took a semester to just kind of like dip and dabble in different disciplines. And I stumbled upon psychology. Introduction to psychology is horrible.
Oh, no.
It is definitely not like a deciding factor for sure. So I continued to take a few other psychology courses, and I learned that this is kind of more aligned with who I am. Okay. I'm a social butterfly. I'm actually an only child. So like I said, I have pursued most of my friends, and I'm like, I need to work with people, not with specimens. Okay. I don't want to be in the lab with the cadaver that was like legit in the tank. Like you had to like crank up the body out of the formaldehyde. And I was like, this is not cool. Like, I don't want to do this.
Wow.
Sounds like something out of Frankenstein.
Wow.
For sure. So I continued with my degree plan in psychology, and I continued with my minor in business administration. Oh. And then during my time in Humboldt, I worked at the Children's Center. I was a part of a sisterhood organization known as The Legacy. I had took on some leadership roles there, which were very important to me. I was community service liaison, vice president, and the such. And so I've always taken on like more leadership opportunities or stepping stones to getting there. And I've always been systematic in my career path. I've never had a job that was just for a paycheck. Okay. I've always said, I'm going to take on this role because that's going to be the stepping stone to this opportunity. Wow. Yes. So I got my degree in psychology from Humboldt State, minor in business administration. During that time, I always knew that I wanted to open a business. I just wasn't sure what kind of business. Okay. And during my degree program, I learned that I was very interested in behavioral psychology because it made sense. I was like, I can see what you're explaining to me in real time. And so I'm convinced and I'm locked in. So let's do it. Yeah. So after Humboldt, I earned my master's in behavior analysis. Wow. So I'm actually a behavior analyst by career. Wow. And then I own the cleaning company, the Crew Cleaning Services.
Okay. I'm impressed.
Super impressive.
I was like, wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I went to ABC.
You're so silly. No, I definitely think that everybody has their own individual paths, and I think that it's important to embrace them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So with regards to behavior analysis, I've learned a lot about like reinforcement, learning histories, how to shape behaviors, and how to achieve the desired behavior change that you want to see in other people. Wow. And so I've been able to incorporate that in my business. We are still small, but thriving. I am the sole owner. There you go. And I run everything on the operations and management end of things. But I did recently promote one of my employees to crew captain on Arena.
Let's go.
So shout out to her.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yes.
I did see that.
Yes. So that was a big deal. Yeah. Because I understood like, you can have the courage to start alone, but you won't grow alone. You have to build a team. Yeah. And you have to learn to relinquish control. And because the crew is my baby, it is very hard for me to do that. But I'm really proud of myself for taking those next steps by promoting one of my service crew members.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
And I do know, like with any business, you know, there's that struggle of starting up and also finding people that you trust, right? And I think that was something that I kind of saw you struggle with a little bit, like especially I think in the industry that you're in, finding people who want to do it long term and who are like dedicated to it as much as you are. Right. So how is that for you, like that, getting from that point to where you are now?
Oh, don't get me started. Because you definitely like hit the nail on the head. Yeah. It is a challenge to acquire people that you can trust, right? So within our industry, we are allowing our customers to like welcome us into their homes and we have access to everything, if you will. So, and I don't take that lightly. So for me, I have a vetting system. I don't want to disclose that just yet, but I have a vetting system in place that allows me to onboard and fully hire someone within 72 hours. Oh, wow. And so I established that plan of action in the beginning because when I first set out to develop the crew, I actually just want to highlight this. I did this in 10 days, 10 consecutive days. I took some time off from work. Yes. I went to my mom's house and I said, Mom.
Jordan over here playing music. Oh, no. Hey, Jordan, I think it's coming from my cell phone because it sounds like my Amazon playlist.
Oh, wow.
Because there's a Bluetooth. Could you take off the Bluetooth for some reason? Just swipe down. Swipe down. There you go. Take off the Bluetooth.
The one time that Irvin has his phone like far away.
I know the one,
That's
the
so
one and
funny.
only time. No, I don't want it over here. Did he take it? Did he take it off?
No, that would do so.
Oh my goodness.
He doesn't know how to.
There you go.
How to
See?
do it, yeah.
Take off the
I was like, what is that?
It was your celebration.
Oh,
we did that on
thanks.
purpose.
I was saying everything. I said, no, what is happening?
Just to jump back in. So I took like 10 days to myself and I called my best friend and I told my mom, hey, check this out. I have a plan that I'm developing. If it's not an emergency, please don't call me. Everyone else, it's on Do Not Disturb.
Wow.
So I went to my mom's house and I'm like, Mom, like, can you cook for me? Like, I really need to stay focused.
Yeah.
I didn't leave her house or anything.
Wow.
And I overheard her on the phone with my aunt, and she's like, she's been at my house for like a week.
She needs
And
to get out.
Yeah, and she hasn't said anything to me. She's eating my food, and she doesn't even want to have a conversation with me.
Wow.
So funny. I'm like, Mom, do you want to talk about the crew? Do you have any ideas? Because we could talk about that.
Yeah.
If it's an emergency, let's talk. But if it's not, then can we put a pin in it?
Yeah.
So that worked out. But during this development process, I did a lot of research. I feel like it's not necessary for me to learn lessons that other individuals in the industry have already learned for me.
Yes.
So I joined a ton of like networks of other cleaning company owners and operators or aspiring cleaning company owners. And I learned that first and foremost, how to hire people that you can trust and the importance of running background checks. So that is a non-negotiable for me. You're not permitted to be in any of my clients' homes if I don't have a background check on you. It's important for me to operate with integrity. So we run interviews. I run an audition. So before you even hired, you show me what you got.
Yeah.
And at that time, because I haven't ran a background check on you, I usually use like one of our commercial properties so that I don't have to worry about their access to any personal information.
Yeah.
And then we kind of evaluate like how they work with the team, like how do they take feedback from me? Because sometimes I will say, oh, like, yeah, that toilet looks great. Can you please do it again?
Yeah.
And I want to see how they respond to
Yeah.
that, because sometimes that is going to be the case. It's not how we clean our homes, it's how we clean as the crew.
Yeah.
And that's the standard, and that won't ever change.
Yeah. How do you hold yourself up when it comes to
Yes.
criticism? And that's something that I kind of went, I didn't even do it the way that you did it, because I think the way you did it's more intelligent. And I think this is the one thing that I know and I understand now when it comes to school, that we go to school, to be educated, but the idea of school is so that we could teach ourselves to do other stuff.
Right.
So they're teaching us to learn skills beyond what they're teaching us. And I think a lot of people don't understand that concept. They go on an idea like, I'm just going to get information, and this information all of a sudden is going to make me money. But like, no, you're learning to learn. And I think that's what you kind of got off of the school. Because like I said, I went to AVC, did the bare minimum, just at my AA, but growing my business, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go and do exactly what you did. Like, none of these guys have background checks. Maybe I should start doing background checks now, I don't know what Ari's been.
No, I think that's actually a great point. And I think that with the business boom that happened in 2020, right, because the crew was founded in 2020, I think that a lot of people saw the opportunity to make money and they thought that's all that there is to it. A beautiful business card, a pretty smile, and here comes the coins. And that's hardly the case. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree. I think that people need to put a little bit more respect on degree programs and those of us that have pursued them, who have acquired them, who may have not. Maybe there's a delay, but there's so much value in going to school. There's so much more that you learn beyond the classroom. And that's the point that I really want to make clear.
Yeah, and beyond the degree as well. You know, because I think a lot of people fall into the title of the school itself, you know, like, oh, I go to this school, or I went to this school and I also got this degree, and yet they're not doing nothing with none of the title of, yeah, you went to that school, but what did you do with that the degree of information that they gave you at that school, you know?
100%.
So I think there's I honestly, I would have wanted to have gone to university, but in my case, it was just not the opportunities as far as like within my household, you know, to actually pursue a higher education. But for me, it was more like, at least I'm pursuing information for myself,
Right.
like what's going to feed me right now. And I think that's kind of how that's how I continue to run my life at this point. Like, if it's not going to make me any type of income right now, I'm just not going to learn it right now because it's just not the time, you know, like even though it sounds fun, it's just not right now because we live in California. It's so expensive out here. You know,
Tell me about
we
it.
cannot be spending time. We cannot be, you know, wasting our money. We cannot be even finding friends and just having them use us as resources as well, because people do weigh on us just as much as, you know, we weigh on ourselves. So I that's amazing that you're kind of like your schooling and your entrepreneurship. And I was going to ask you about your entrepreneurship as far as like, was that ingrained in you, or was that something that you just kind of had inside of you just instinctually? Because some people are born with it and other people see it from other people. Like we copycat, you know, a parent, an uncle, an aunt, or a grandparent.
So my family and friends, they would probably, if they could choose like one word to describe me, they would probably say bossy. And I'm okay with it. Yeah. Like I embrace it, and I'm certain of what I like, what I want, what's important to me. And I'm going to do whatever is necessary to get it, as long as it's done with integrity.
Okay.
And so I think for me, it may be the lane of it's ingrained.
All right.
And there may be some social influence. I know my fellow behavior analysts are going to be like, no, you didn't say that was ingrained. It is highly likely that it's due to social influence. So there are some people that I think highly of in the business world. I have some community contacts that I actually reached out to. And I actually think I want to share this. So when I started the crew, that was not my initial business. I actually had a different business in mind. And it didn't come into fruition at this time just because the startup costs were very high. And so what I did was I networked with the AV Chambers of Commerce, the CEO there, the CEO of my office space for the crew at this time. She was very supportive. She actually is Vernita Scott. She's a former Black Chamber of Commerce president.
Oh, there you go.
And she's been very supportive as well. So with that, I'm like, I have an idea. Let me get fueled by those around me, and then let me take off. And that's kind of how it came to light, if you will.
Yeah. And you said initially this wasn't your initial thought to be a business. What was your initial thought as far as like what you were thinking that you were going to create for a business?
So back in Humboldt, I actually did my senior project on a group home.
Okay.
So I actually used to want to work in juvenile corrections.
Oh.
And I was like, I need a group home with teenagers because I had like an ex-boyfriend that was in foster care when we were together. And then I had a lot of friends because in the AV, a lot of children are redirected from the inner city out here to foster homes in the high desert. And so because of that, I was familiar with like the system and the processes, and it was pretty tricky. Like there were some great circumstances and some not so great circumstances. And I was like, I need to save the world. And then I decided that's not something I want to do right now. I think that will come about down the line. But when I decided to move forward with the crew, it was low startup costs. In residential cleaning, you can make a lot of money. You can make it very fast. However, with the residential side, it's a major headache. There's people, there's pets, there's problems. And I like to say with the turnovers, with our commercial properties, no people, no pets, no problems. So, yes, for me, that's been pretty important.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, so you started the crew, because I remember when this was happening for you and everything was like kind of coming together. And I've seen you like evolve and seen like your business evolve.
Thank you.
And you've said integrity a lot, and I feel like that's something I've seen in like your business model.
Yes,
like integrity is there. I think, is that in like a catchphrase that you have for it?
No,
I feel like I've seen that.
I just frequently say it.
Okay.
Maybe I need to get a shirt.
You could see it in
made.
person though. Like I could see you and I could analyze who you are as a person. Even this is the first time me seeing you in person and me meeting you. Right away, I'm like, oh, this is a person I could trust with my car keys. You know, that
I
kind of
appreciate
thing.
that.
And I think it's very important. And I think because you exude this energy of integrity, you're gonna basically want it from other people, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like your negative energy of that's your negative. If they don't have it, and you're just blocking it. I'm like, no, I know that person doesn't have it because you exude it.
You're gonna make me ugly cry.
I'm not trying to. trying to go viral. Okay.
I really appreciate that. Yes. So for me, as a woman, as the crew being a woman-owned business, a Black-owned business, like there's just already preconceived notions about how business is handled.
Yeah.
And we're not doing that around
Yeah.
here.
That's awesome.
I tell like my followers, I think I'm a baby influencer. People tap in, they care. I'm like, this is cool. I used to be so intimidated by social media, and I've began to open up. And I try to share with those that are committed to following me that you don't have to cheat the game to beat it. You know, and what better victory than to know that you played by all the rules and you still came out on top. You know, like that's a big deal. And like, I just can't wait to see where the crew goes, because we're knocking on 4 years, April 10th, 2024. And the best is absolutely yet to come. And a lot of great opportunities have taken place. I've learned a lot in a very short amount of time. When it comes to my team, we are background checked. I run real payroll. We are all paying our payroll taxes because Uncle Sam is not knocking on my door.
There you go.
Because you can't hide from him. He's gonna get you, and I don't want no smoke. Also, too, we have like systems and processes at the crew. So all of our services are prepaid at the time of scheduling. That has been a little bit of a struggle for the public to accept. However, during my research process, a lot of cleaning company owners and operators, when it comes to residential cleaning, clients can be tricky, and sometimes they refuse to pay for services. And if
1,000%.
Yes, if services are $450, like, yes, that's a big deal, but not enough for me to take you to court, right? And like by the time I get to court, it's a waste of my time. But there's no money being lost on this, and I'm not tolerating it. So services are prepaid at the time of scheduling. We're licensed, bonded, and insured, and credentialed. So I always redirect our clients that may even be apprehensive to consulting with the city of Palmdale to see that our license is active and valid. And referencing our reviews, you know, shout out to us. We have 4.9 stars on
There
Google.
you go.
Second leading cleaning company in the area that's smaller.
Let's go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a big deal.
Congratulations. That is a big deal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to the social media stuff. So I
Oh
know,
my gosh.
I know. So you have your personal social media, and then you have the crew cleaning services social media.
Yes.
And we've had discussions back and forth about
we have
how to do social media, what to do, you know, what's, you know, all this stuff and how to promote your business. But I have seen like the way you've developed your business, like social media, and how one thing that I've enjoyed seeing are your videos on like how to clean certain things. And like, you know, you have a dirty toilet. Let's clean this. This is how this is what you need to do. Or like what kinds of material to use on what types of surfaces. Like those videos, was that something that you saw somewhere else and like took inspiration from? Or were those things that you kind of just thought about and like said, this should be a video on my Instagram?
Absolutely no brainer. Shout out to Vanessa Amaro. Like she is like the scrub daddy queen. I love her. She's a big deal. So she's very influential.
Scrub Daddy Queen.
Yes. She's
Like-
sponsored by Scrub Daddy.
Oh.
Yes. She's a housekeeper. She's like, I'm Vanessa and I'm a housekeeper. And I'm like, this is so cute. She's adorable. And then Zapata's cleaning services. They're, I believe, in Georgia. And they have grown catastrophically in the time that the crew's been in business. And I think that we are somewhere in the same like generation, if you will, and they're doing their thing. For me, social media is very intimidating. The public is raw. They're like they're uncut.
They don't
will
care.
say what they want to say.
Yeah, they're gonna say what they want to say. So to be honest, our development on the cruise page has been slow, but I'm okay with that. My focus is making sure that the quality of our services are there and allowing the public to speak and attest to the quality of the work that we provide. I'm not interested in focusing on likes and views and the such. And it's just finding the template is stressful to me. And I'm like, I'll just put it aside. Yeah. However, because I've opened up more on my personal page, it has led me to develop ideas and be more open with the cruise page. So I'm excited for the progress that we'll be making in the next year or so, because now the door is open and I'm ready to walk through
Let's
it.
go.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, you're doing all this stuff on your own. Like, you're running the payroll, you're running all the operations, you're doing the social media outside of your just career that you already have.
Oh, yes.
As a behavior therapist.
As a behavior analyst. So
analyst.
So I'm a clinical supervisor, and then I have a team of behavioral therapists or direct interventionists that work with my clients.
Wow.
So I do that.
Yes.
And
that's
then
full time? Or is that like
semi full time?
Okay.
Semi full time. So full transparency, I had to keep it real with my agency that I work for, and I said, listen, I actually owned the crew before I joined this particular agency. And I said, I'm not going to choose. Like, I want both.
Yeah.
And so we have an understanding of like when I work, when you can expect me to attend a meeting, when you can expect for me to respond to emails and phone calls, and when you can't. So I work like Monday through Thursday in the afternoon only, and the cruise all day, every day.
That's awesome.
Outside of Sundays.
well, that's good. I think that's important.
Yes. So I think that when it comes to the workplace, there is like this misconception that you can't advocate for yourself. When it comes to the crew, I tell my team, you can work here and you can work wherever else. Share your availability with me and I'll make it work. Because if you invest in the values and what's important to the people that support your business or influence its growth, then you're going to grow a lot faster. And I think that that's why the crew is successful now.
That's awesome.
Because I meet my service crew members where they are instead of where I want them to be.
Exactly. That's awesome. And then it also shows too that I guess the company or the other, I guess, I don't know if it's a company or if it's within the clinic, your other job that you do in the afternoon. It says a lot about you too, as far as like, not a lot of companies are going to take in a part-timer or someone that's going to dictate how they're going to work, you know? But that's what I mean. Like, it says a lot about who you are and how much value you bring to them. Because
I appreciate
like
that.
what I mean is that if you were doing stuff half-assed and they already kind of recognize it,
Right.
I'm like, well, why is she dictating? You know, like, she's just a regular, you know, she's going to do the bare minimum, you know? But if they already see she's going to do whatever time she's going to come in, regardless if it's on her time, she's going to do 100%. And I think a lot of people that are higher ups, they see a lot and they value that more than a person that's always going to be there consistently. Because if they're just there and they're not really doing anything, there's no value in that. You know, like, you could be there for 8 hours, but yet you're only doing like maybe partial of the work.
Right.
You can have someone that's doing half of the time, but actually doing the time and 100%, they're going to value that 1,000% more.
100%. I agree. For me, I am very like honest, vocal, transparent with my team. So there's no mystery when it comes to me. When it comes to advocating for myself and setting boundaries, I think that's important because I just want to be happy. I'm not here to be a millionaire with my business. I'm here to be happy and to enlighten other people and show them that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you start. What does matter is who you are in your heart and who you align yourself with. Yeah.
That's awesome though. That's it.
It's just crazy to think sometimes of how far I've come, because the other day I was just sitting and thinking, like, this is my life. How wild is it that I genuinely get up and do, for the most part, what I feel like doing, and I'm not a millionaire yet. So just imagine. Just imagine when we get there.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I do have reflections as far as that too, because when you do certain things for a certain amount of time, it does become a routine. And that routine kind of becomes like almost a burden. But sometimes we have to reflect as far as like where we're coming from so that we could feel appreciative again. As far as like, okay, I need to show gratitude to myself because it took you a while to even get to this point. And even though you're going to do the same thing that you did yesterday, you still have to feel grateful. you know, the idea that this is what you're doing. And 4 years ago, I wasn't doing this. I was literally, my life was completely different.
Right. I definitely agree. For me right now, just to circle back to what you were saying, Ari, I do run hiring. Right now, Honorina runs our auditions. I've given her that responsibility. She has like an expense card. She's a big boss babe now.
Wow.
No access to this company card.
Wow.
I don't even have a company card.
Right?
Right. So what's
kidding.
that? Hook her up. Hook my girl up.
What are you talking about? She has accounts to everything.
I just don't have the company card.
Yes.
It's on the computer. Literally, she has it saved on the computer.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in pursuit within the next year to delegate more tasks to Honorina, and I actually want to promote another service crew member to crew captain by the summer. That's my goal, because
Awesome.
we got to get on this.
Yeah.
How long has she been with you, Honorina?
Honorina has been with me like 6 months.
Oh.
And
Oh, wow.
Yes. And it's so crazy because I think that performance should drive opportunities, not length of time. I do think that there should be some reward for loyalty and commitment. However, if you've been with me for 2 years and somebody comes in 6 months and shows me what you haven't in 2 years, then that's just kind of what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I do acknowledge that you've thugged it out with me and you're still around. So like, that's not counted out.
Yeah. That's cool.
100%.
Yes. But she's just very independent. She's demonstrated on and off the grid her loyalty to me. And there was a event that took place between her and another person that showed me who she was, and I felt like it was a disservice to her if I didn't promote her. And I told her that. I said, you deserve to get paid more than you get paid. You take on responsibilities that I didn't ask you to take on. So she's like definitely a self-starter. And I want to teach her whatever is necessary to get her to her next level, whether that's with or without the crew.
That's awesome.
And I tell my crew, like, I want you guys to know that I understand that at this point in time, the only permanent person here is me. And as long as you keep it real, raw, and uncut, like, I got your back 1,000%. But you got to show me your loyalty and your honesty. You know what I'm saying? And fortunate for myself, I'm in the space to where I have built a solid crew, but it's been a road to getting here. I've had people walk off of jobs.
Wow.
I've had people pursue me. Like,
Pursue you?
Pursue me.
Oh, like romantically?
Yes.
I was about to say, like, pursue
Oh
you
my
in a
gosh.
car?
Yes, I had to let someone go. I said, wait, what is going on here, sir?
Wow.
He's like, yeah, like, can I take you out? And I was
I
like,
didn't know this.
I'm your boss.
yeah, you know, I haven't told anybody this, so this is actually.
It's like you're paying for your own date because he's paying with the money you're giving him.
Oh my gosh. You're so silly, but that's true. That's true. It was so strange, and I was like, bro, this is a safe, healthy, happy working environment, and I'm not tolerating that.
Wow.
You gotta go.
Wow. That's crazy.
Crazy. And actually ran into him like 3 months ago, and he's like, hey, how's the crew? I'm like, great. And he's like, oh, like, you know, do you need any help? I said, oh, no, thanks. The crew will never need help, but we'll always be welcoming.
Yeah. Wow, that's
service
wild.
crew members.
That's
That's
awesome.
wild.
That's funny.
So as far as like the walk-offs, as far as like if they came to a house or I don't know what else you guys do as far as the commercial buildings, they went in and they decided to walk out for a specific reason, or was it just?
So there was feedback given to me by a client about something that wasn't clean to the highest of quality. And so I had asked for them to step out because they like were in the vicinity, and I wanted the client to feel welcome to be open and honest with me, right? So that I can address the concern. And so they were frustrated because they felt like they should have been a part of the conversation, and I need them to understand roles and responsibilities, right? Like at the end of the day, I serve as your manager, supervisor, and the owner of this company. If the client needs to disclose a concern, I want them to feel comfortable in doing so. So asked them to excuse themselves, and then when it was time for them to rejoin, they were no longer. And then they like called a few days later and apologized, and I was like, oh no, we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the part that is tricky. The reason why I chose to have employees instead of independent contractors is because with independent contractors, you don't have control over their schedule, what they wear, the supplies they choose to use, and I have a lot of boundaries. Like we don't even take bleach into clients' homes.
Oh, wow.
Because it's too much of a liability.
Wow.
And so for me, I told him, I want you to take this opportunity as a lesson learned and just, you take you wherever you go. So turn this around for the next opportunity. And sometimes when you're forgiven, that doesn't mean that you deserve another chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it comes to the crew, like I always tell the team, I'm the facilitator of peace. And with peace comes growth, and with growth comes money. So I need you guys to do your part so I can do mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. As far as like you now developing into this position of leadership, has your personal person, has it developed in the same way as far as like in some sort of way, like where it kind of like lingered into your personal life, where like you could walk into a store and kind of already understand, oh, she's the manager or she's the employee, and then already start dictating certain experiences as far as like within your daily life? Because I know it's happened with me. Like I'll go into a gasoline station and the cashier register lady will say something rude, and right away can I speak to your manager? Like it's not even a thought that comes into my head. It's just like it's like already ingrained. Like I'm always solving solutions or solving problems, I would say. And I want to get into the solution rather than keep creating the problem. So that's what I mean. Like even on my daily, I'm already going into the boss mode or leadership mode. Has that happened with you?
Yes and no. So yes, because I definitely am very opinionated and I take an inventory of everything that's going on around me. So I have been in spaces to where I wanted to say something. However, in behavior analysis, there's a term that we refer to as setting events. And so what that means is events that take place that may influence your performance. So if I'm stressed, if I'm in a rush, even if your service is less than what is to be desired, then maybe this is not an appropriate time. And so I'll just check it at the door, because ultimately, like, this is not my establishment and this is not my responsibility. So I think it's important to pick and choose your battles and also just know your lane.
I agree.
Because if someone comes to the crew and tries to tell me how to interact with one of my employees and there's a opportunity for constructive feedback to be provided, then I'm going to ask them to take a seat.
Wow.
So I don't want to put myself in that position.
There you go. You're hardcore.
Yeah. For sure.
That's
Do you
awesome.
go to every single one of the cleanings? Like, is that
No.
something? Okay.
So before, yes.
Yeah.
And I said, Kristin, you built the team. They know what they need to do. And you need to give them space to make mistakes. You need to give them space to demonstrate that they can be independent. And they can't do that if I'm over them all the time. But even when I am present, I'm not like micromanaging them. We have a process within our system where we have like service lines on our software, and it allows you to see what tasks need to be completed, and they all know what supplies, what equipment to use for what. And then I'll do like quality assurance checks here and there, but I don't cover every surface, because we actually have a policy that they have to upload before and after pictures.
Wow.
So we use a software called House Call Pro, and that software allows them to see checklists. So I can assign checklists where they can't even clock out until they've indicated that each item has been completed.
That's awesome.
And so I figured out in the beginning, if I'm starting alone and I want to continue to work in my career, how am I going to do both at the same time? So the software allows for me to see what pictures, what the state of the condition of the property was before and what it was after. It also allows my team to communicate with our crew members. They're not allowed to disclose their personal phone numbers. Neither are my crew members. And I do that because when I'm at work or when I'm out, having a midday cocktail, I can take inventory of the conversations that are taking place without being present. So I can see them remotely in real time. I can also track my team's locations for accurate timekeeping, because I'm not paying you to be down the street. I'm paying you to be at your service appointment.
Do you guys have a length of time, like per property? Because I bet, I don't know how you determine, I think it's more complex, determine like pricing and like timing that it's going to take to clean something based off of not just the size, but like how, like
what needs to be done
that it's in. Yeah.
Like, we
how
actually
do. You determine that?
So on our booking site, we have 3 packages: a classic cleaning, which is like a standard cleaning, a deluxe cleaning, which is a deep cleaning, or a move in, move out. Post constructions or turnovers are separate and they're not on our booking site because we need to coordinate with the property manager pricing packages. And so when it comes to homes, it's pretty much, do you need a standard cleaning? Do you need a deep cleaning? Or is the property empty? And then I also go into, do you have pets? Because that's a factor. Fur is a mess. And it definitely increases duration of time for cleaning. And for us, we have like 2 time slots. So we have 9 to 12:30 or 1 to 5 in the afternoon. And so that depends on the size of the property and the state. Depends on which time slot I schedule you in. And then as far as pricing is concerned, we have base rates on our booking site, but the price is just at a base rate.
Yeah.
So it's going up from there.
Yeah. As it should be.
Yes.
As it should be. Because everything's going up. Like I said, California is super expensive. And the dollar here doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It just, it's ridiculous.
Right.
So that's amazing. As far as like when it comes down to the actual like clientele, like, because I know there's other cleaning services out here in the Antelope Valley. How do you deal with the discount prices that are technically your competitors? And even though that you'll do a better and your quality's a lot higher, your standards, your background checks, everything's more professional. A lot of people just see a price. They don't see the like what you spoke about. You know, so how do you go about that?
The price is the price. And it's definitely non-negotiable for me. However, I think that something that I've settled into is understanding who my client is. And if the price is a barrier, knowing the quality of service that we provide, then I'm okay with that. And I understand that we have direct competitors. So from my perspective, I consider direct competitors to be competitors of similar quality, similar length of time in business, expertise, reputation. And then I consider indirect clients the housekeepers that are like under the grid. They're not paying taxes, right? So of course they can afford to go clean your house for $80 and be there for a deep cleaning all day. I have taxes, I have overhead, I have accounting software, you know, I have employees, and I give them perks for us to be so small. So those things need to be taken in consideration, and no one on my team makes minimum wage. If you pay people minimum wage, you're going to get minimum wage labor. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's definitely important to me. I also have lost some clients to like Molly. I have lost clients because our services are prepaid at the time of scheduling. However, that's just a part of the building for me. And now I think we have like a little under 50 reviews on Google, and our clients go the extra mile. We have paragraphs.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
On Google about the service that we provide. We actually had a client down in Anaheim. This gentleman, sweetheart, he had like a terrible breakup. He needed some support. His apartment got out of control. I took myself and 2 of my service crew members. We went down there for the day. We were literally there till like 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Cleaning a 1-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
Yes.
Dang.
Wow.
Yes. I charged for travel. And then I treated the girls to lunch. And we had a ball. We went to like the cookie plug, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And so with that, if the client has a need and you have a problem that you can solve for them, then they're going to book every time.
Wow.
Yeah. And I want to kind of build off of that. Like your clientele, how does like your background, your education kind of help you with certain, like, are there any clients that you have? Because I could imagine there are certain homes that, like you said, they've gone through something emotional or some type of trauma that probably leads to their house getting out of control. Do you ever, like, do those ever bleed into each other? Like your behavior analysis as well as the cleaning? Like, do you ever let those lines cross?
Yes, I'm actually like very transparent with my clients about me being a behaviorist. And I meet them where they are. And I think that my ability to open the floor, be an active listener, and problem solve with them is helpful. So for some of our clients, they can't afford our services. So what we do is I can do like a custom cleaning. We can break it down. Like we can work with your budget and we'll work on this room or this area. And then I have a client, I told her, I said, she was telling me that she wanted her sons to take on a little bit more responsibility. I said, okay, I'll create a church chart and I'll create like a reinforcement system so that you can help keep them motivated. So I think that that also adds value to our service because I'm not charging you for that. I appreciate you being my client. And it's interesting, that client has actually been with us for 3 years.
Wow. And that's very important. That's the one thing that I always tell everyone that is in our team, as far as like photographers, is like I always tell them, try your best to have the client, not just the client that we're servicing, which is a realtor, the actual tenant, or if not the person that's in the house, that's living in the house, have them remember you.
Right.
And if they at least speak your name, I know you did a good job.
Right.
And that's something that's very, very important because we are content creators as far as like we create content. We create pictures and videos for the realtors, but when it comes to business, there's a lot more that goes into growing a business, you know, and I think that's something I had to learn, not because of myself, that I kind of just did it naturally, I would say. Kind of like you, I'm very into like human behavior studies, but it wasn't, I didn't go to school for it. I just kind of fell into, I like the concept, so let me read about it. And then of course I would go to a house and then the tenant, or if not the realtor's talking to me, and I'm just becoming friends with them. And it was like one of those things that now that I have employees, I'm like, they're still asking for me. Right. And like, why are they asking for me when I know every single person in my team does the same type of quality of work? And I'm like, oh, it's because they want to talk to me. And I think that's something that very important as far as like as an entrepreneur. If you're building a business, have your employees understand this stuff. You know, like the perception of who you are leads into a lot of things.
It does. It definitely does. Because I definitely have some clients that are inconsistent with their services. So it's hard for me to keep the same service crew members assigned to their home. I do my best to keep the same staff in the same home because it just makes sense. They're going to be more productive in a familiar space. However, when it's different, I know it's because that service crew member went the extra mile and they built that relationship. They've established that rapport. So I absolutely agree. For me, I have some clients that I haven't seen in quite some time, but I send out like text blasts, checking in. I will personally call them. How are things going? And I think a big mistake that small business owners make, you kind of like practice. You want to practice like you play, right? So you want to do all the decisions that I make them small and big. So I want to make sure everything that I do is scalable. So with that being said, sometimes I'll have like Honorina check in or take the lead with conversations, even if I'm present. Follow up with a walkthrough on a move out cleaning. And so with that, I like to make sure that I'm maintaining that relationship and associating myself with positive circumstances instead of just negative. I don't just step in when there's a problem. Hey, how you doing? I think a property manager for one of our properties, it's like 65 acres, 500 units out here. I took the executive director Starbucks.
Wow.
There was no problem. There was no issue. I'm just saying, hey.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, I think that's important too. Like we've seen that, right? Like maintaining that relationship and just like saying hi.
Yeah.
Like there's no like agenda behind it. It's just literally you're just, how are you doing?
Right.
How are things going? Like it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a big impact on not just your business, but those relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that also has contributed to our growth. I actually get my car serviced nearby and my service advisor, he is fabulous. I actually just took him Starbucks. Didn't have an appointment or anything. I don't think I'm like due for service until December. And it's important to make sure that you're not always reaching out to people when you want something from them, but figuring out what you can offer them instead. And I think that that's something that's been beneficial. So at that service center, they actually have my business cards and they asked me for them. I didn't ask to leave them there. So that was really cool. And one of my former behavior therapists from a former agency that I worked at took a picture and sent it to me like, oh my gosh, I saw your cards here. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So funny.
There's one thing I wanted to, like stories on the job. So there's one in particular that I remember.
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't know if you're thinking of the same one I'm thinking of. There's one time you did a cleaning at like I think it was a complex.
Oh, I think I know.
And
okay.
You got locked in.
Yes.
She was locked in overnight.
Overnight.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
She did like a whole play-by-play on your social media, like on, I think it was your personal account.
Yes.
Right? And you're just like, oh my God, like I'm locked in. You guys, like, what am I going to do? And he just kept us updated like throughout the night.
Literally.
Of, like, what was going on.
Was it
I
on your
didn't get
stories?
out. Yeah, I didn't get out of that unit until like 7:30, 8 o'clock the next morning.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That's
so
wild.
long
Yeah,
story
what happened there?
long story short, we had a turnover, but we were spread a little thin that day, and it was when our team was a little smaller. And I was like, oh, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, I could bust that down by myself, no problem. So I go, but I had some prior engagements, and I actually was out of state. So I came back. And I said, oh, you know, I can get the unit turned over, but I'm going to do it overnight. And they're like, oh, yeah, no problem. So I picked up the keys before I left. And I came back and I was on the 4th floor of the building, locked the door, and I realized that, oh, like my water was low. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go to my car to get some water. It was like 11:30 at night. And I went to go draw the top lock unlocked. And you know how the lock slides from the door frame into the door? It didn't do that, but the lock turned. It was very interesting. And I was like, am I tripping? So I had to tell my followers. So I picked up my phone. I was like, you guys, like, I think I'm locked in this apartment.
No.
And it was all like fun and jokes, initially, until I ran out of water.
Oh no.
And then I realized like, oh yeah, like I'm not getting out of here.
Oh wow.
And so I'm like calling my friends.
They're all sleeping.
No, I woke them up. Like
They didn't come get you?
They couldn't because I was on the 4th floor.
Oh.
So I'm like, all right, so how is this going to work out? They're like, everybody's saying, call the fire department, call the police. And I'm thinking in my mind, this is earlier on in the business too, right? So there's still some lessons to learn.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way that I'm calling the fire department because my mind's going a million miles a minute. I'm like, they're going to blast the door open.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pay for it and I'm not doing that. So I'm going to have to wait.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang. I was so stressed because I was like, how much is this? I was thinking, how much is this door going to cost to fix? And I don't want to make an insurance claim. I was just thinking all these things instead of prioritizing myself, right? And sometimes that is something that I struggle with. Like, I put everyone before me sometimes, and that can be a little bit challenging. So in the morning, I realized that the maintenance supervisor, I have his personal phone number. However, I'm like, it's not his problem that I chose to turn over this unit outside of their business hours. So I don't want to inconvenience him and his family. So like, I'll just wait. And I had a pack of new microfibers. There was no vent in the bathroom. So I turned on the heater. I got all these new microfibers and I lined the bathtub. And it was clean, right? So it was perfect. I took my shoes off, took my socks off. I made myself like a little beanbag like bed in the tub. It was wild.
Wow.
And like when the tub doesn't have water in it, it's really, really cold.
Oh wow.
So I was freezing.
Oh wow.
I was thirsty.
Oh no.
But I had a phone charger and I had Instagram. So it was all good.
I was just watching at like 10 o'clock at night. This is going to be my bed for the night, you guys.
It was crazy.
And then at like 5 or 6 a.m., like, I made it, you guys.
Right.
I slept. Like, it was cold, but I made it. They're going to come get me.
They are going to come and get me.
And then, like, I'm out, you guys. And I just remember thinking, like, this is so funny. It was funny until it was not. Because I was like, I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. And then, you know, like now that I got like my little degrees and I have like a couple extra coins, like I drink bottled water. So I was like, I cannot drink this tap water.
But it worked out. And I also was nervous because I was thinking, like, if the fire department came to get me, like, were they going to have me get on the ladder? I am not afraid of heights, but I am afraid of coming down. And I was like, I'm a little chubby goddess. Gravity's not going to be on my side. I was just thinking all of these wild thoughts. And I was like, I'm going to sleep in the tub. That's what that's going to be.
So if you were to encounter like that situation now, how would you, how differently would you handle it?
I would call maintenance. I would call maintenance and I would let them handle it.
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as like when they found you, what did they say?
They actually were so great. They were amazing. They felt horrible. And they were like, Kristin, like, why didn't you call? Like, why, if you didn't want to call us, like, why didn't you call 911? I was like, the building wasn't on fire. Like, I was just locked in. But then I was thinking, like, dang, I was locked in. So what happens if the building did catch on fire?
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh, it was a mess.
Oh, wow.
It was a whole mess.
Oh, that would have been crazy, huh?
That would have been crazy,
Yeah.
and that would have been a story to tell.
Wow.
Oh. Have you encountered anything, I guess, like that, or any other funny stories while on the job, or memorable things?
Memorable things. There's been so many things that have happened. I did have like this wild situation that happened with the homeowner. This was another property that I turned over by myself. It was like a 6-bedroom house.
Ooh.
Right. And so I was very excited to work with this gentleman. However, I had observed like some mold in the bathroom cabinet. And mold has to be carefully handled. And if you're not certified, you shouldn't like encounter it, because once you agitate the surface, the spores are going to fly in the air. And even though you can't see them to the negative eye, you can carry them home and you can get really sick. So I communicated that to him, and he was just so pressed about moving new tenants in. And I was actually devastated because I was excited to work with him. And because he wasn't a person of integrity, I was like, yeah, like, I'm cool. I'm going to finish this property for you. He had like 6 other houses. And I was like, we're not going to work together anymore. He like argued with me about it. And then he asked to like use my vacuum to vacuum out the fireplace.
Wow.
And we actually don't service fireplaces because you need a shop vac.
Yeah.
He was trying
Not
to
my
use your
residential
vacuum.
Yes, a regular vacuum. He was like demanding that I give it to him.
Yeah.
And I said, sir, I said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to continue to clean. You're going to stop messing with the fireplace, because I had already like mopped over there, did the baseboards, everything. I said, if anything falls out, I'm not going to pick it up. I need you to excuse yourself, and I will let you know when I'm done, and then you can return. I no longer want to have contact with you during the service. And if you refuse to leave, then I'm going to leave. And that's it. The sale is final. So do you want me to wrap up or not? And he's like, fine. And he left and stormed out. I was like, yeah, you don't want no smoke.
Yeah. There are times where you have to be a little bit more strict and straightforward when it comes to clients, because they do take advantage. And I'm pretty sure he's taken advantage more than once, as far as like in the same situations where that person just agreed to do whatever he was requesting, which had nothing to do with your actual initial plan.
Right.
So I think overall, like, I think you did amazing in that situation.
Yeah, you absolutely have to set boundaries. I'm very appreciative of all of the clients, new, old, good, bad, indifferent. Everyone has contributed to like my learning history, right? Which has improved the experience for myself, my employees, and our other clients. So when it comes to the property management companies, property managers, they want a whole lot for a little bit of nothing. And that can be a little tricky as well. I actually had a recent situation where the property manager called me and said, oh, like these prices. And I'm like, but you guys agreed to them. And it's months later. So I arranged like a meeting with her. And she's like, well, if you pay your team minimum wage and your supplies cost this, then this should be doable. And I'm like, but no, like you don't get to dictate what our pricing structure is. What you get to dictate is whether you're accepting it.
Yes. 100%.
And that's just kind of how that's going to go. So the conversation was like pretty heated, and I have a very strong personality, and I'm a very no nonsense person in my real life. and in my professional roles. So I didn't want to compromise the relationship. And I said, I think that we should kind of table this conversation and let's connect next week. So I came up with I didn't reduce the price for her. What I did do is I created a level system. And I said, if you want to pick a package, then these are the things that we will be willing to do. However, if my team continues to do the tasks that are already outlined on their service agreement, then this is going to be the price. And then we came to a happy medium. She's like, I understand. And it's interesting because she named me as a person of integrity. And she said, after spending some time with you and getting to know you, I see that you're very detailed. And I do have very, very detailed lists about what tasks need to be completed for each service appointment. And so it all worked out. And I was in a place to where I was like, I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to move forward with this property, but it was a very important property because it's a big one.
Yeah.
And the price tag is there. So I was like, I got to figure out how to make this work.
Yeah.
Just to speak to what you said about understanding myself as a professional and then as an entrepreneur, I have been, I'm not going to say can because this is now former. In the past, I have definitely demonstrated that I was rigid and it's very black or white for me. It's all or nothing. And when it comes to business, you got to give just a little flexibility. You know what I'm saying? Because that could have compromised a contract for us if I wasn't flexible. And I just gave this is the price and that's it. There's no other option.
Yeah.
We need to have a healthy working relationship. So that I think worked out for me. And that's something that through our development is just a skill that's continuously being strengthened for me.
That's a skill that you develop via experience, especially if there's money involved.
Man, there's so much money involved.
Yeah. And if there's, I guess, a clash of personalities, sometimes the money will dictate how far your limitation will take it.
Absolutely.
If it was just one small little room house, that wasn't even worth your time, you wouldn't even have gone and done the details and forget it. I have other things to do, but because the budget was there and you understood the budget, you're like, yeah, this will determine the strength of my team, as far as how much I could deliver for them.
Right.
And then of course I need to create a solution because this is my livelihood too.
Absolutely.
So I think, I've experienced that as well, now that I've, a team growing and, it falls on me at the end of the day. I'm like, I have to figure things out. That's why I said, does it fall into your personal life as far as being that person when you're doing these tasks throughout the day? And then does it fall in or linger into your personal life when you're no longer even having to do nothing with your crew?
It has. And I have been conscious and aware of that. And I take inventory of that daily. And I separate myself as often as I can. And I think that a big part of why I've made progress is just instilling more trust in my team and letting them do their thing. You have to train them and allow them to handle it. And if I'm not, I might as well do it myself. So I think that that's been helpful. At present, I feel like I have a better balance because I definitely would be completely obsessed. I would be up at 2:30 in the morning, oh yeah, this is going to be our crew builder event. So quarterly, I host crew building events. And I think that it's important for my team. I want to make sure that they understand that they're more important to me than just being a cleaner and that they're more valuable than the price tag of the service appointment. So that gives us time to get to know each other, play games. I think first quarter this year, we went bowling.
That's awesome.
Second quarter, we went to Big Rock Creek. Our plan for third quarter, I think, is I think they want to barbecue or something. And I solicit, ideas from them. What do you guys want to do? And then it's company sponsored.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I just want them to have a good time.
That's awesome.
I want the crew to be a place that people come flawed, refine their skills as a professional, and they go on to something great with my support. Because I don't expect for any of them to be here forever, but I do expect for them to become a better version of themselves while they're with me.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Great way to think.
So with the crew, how what are your plans? Do you have like plans for
I do.
the future and where you want to take it
I do have plans. So in my mind,
that you can disclose?
yes, I have plans that I'm comfortable disclosing.
You're gonna destroy every other cleaning crew out here in the AV.
And we're gonna know that we heard it here first, so they better not copy me.
Dang.
So I want to get to a place to where we are the preferred cleaning service provider in the AV, and I also want to expand to the Santa Clarita Valley. But I do not want to expand beyond the AV and the Santa Clarita Valley. I want the crew to stay a smaller business because I want the quality of the experience for my service crew members and my crew members, which is what we refer to our clients as. I want it to be top notch. And I also want it to kind of have the mom and pop vibe of, you can trust us, and it's not just we're coming in and doing the bare minimum, but we're exceeding your expectations every time, and that you're getting what you're paying for and then some.
That's amazing.
Do you provide any training? Or I mean, I would imagine you do train them like with the quality of cleaning or like the style of cleaning or like how to clean certain things?
Yes.
Like what does that look like?
So for me, this is where there's like a perk with me being a behaviorist. So in behavior analysis, we have a strategy called behavioral skills training, right? And that's basically how you teach an individual to like emit like a particular behavior. And so with that, I have like written instructions. I have the checklists that we use. I review those with them. I model what the service looks like, how to clean a stove, how to clean an oven, how to clean a toilet, how to scour out stains. And then I allow them to take the lead, and then I give them feedback. That's been very, very helpful. And I've generalized those skills to Honorina, and now she's taking the lead. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
She's like my backbone right now.
There you go.
And you just promoted her, you said.
I did. And you know what's crazy? I trust her with a lot. For us to have been together for such a short amount of time, it's pretty wild. And I'm so invested in her, and I know she's so invested in the crew, and I appreciate her so much. She has yet to let me down. And even in times which I'm sure she thought she was letting me down, she wasn't. And I always have to encourage her to set boundaries. Like I think I called her, she's in school. I called her and she's like, hey. And I'm like, hey, we chatted. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to call you back after this test. And I'm like, you're taking a test? She's like, yeah. I was like, why did you answer the phone? She's like, because you called. I said, you don't have to answer the phone every time I call. Right.
Where could I find one of these girls? Shit, I call Ari and she never answers the phone.
We're going to have to hop in the gloves if you try to take her from me, okay?
I'm all calling her 5 times like, Ari, where are you at? I was like, oh, I took a nap.
Yeah, she's
in the bathroom.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's so cool.
I think that's really important though, finding someone like that.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, big difference. And
but you have to take care of them. You know,
for sure.
Something that I've noticed with some of my peers, as far as newer entrepreneurs, is I know a lot of people that are growing and thriving, and they have a team, but they don't have a compensated team. And it's, for me, I have more respect for myself and my business than to allow anyone to do anything for me without compensation of some form. Even my mother. So the crew went to Black on the Block as a vendor, and I have a sedan, but my mom has a truck, and she was coming anyway. So I was like, oh, can you take these things, like transport them down for me? She was paid. She was paid for her gas. She was paid for mileage. She was paid for her time. I remember earlier on, I was going out of town, and I had like a ton of microfibers that needed to be washed. And I told my mom, like, oh, I don't have time for this. Like, can you help me out? And she's like, yeah, I got you. I hit her with a Zelle before I got to her house with the microfibers, because we're on that type of time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And does that come from your family?
With
like that mentality of like, okay, if you're gonna hold something for me, and that's something that I had already established with Ari, and I hope this is the reason why she trusts me as far as like building this, the company and everything, is that when she approached me as far as like, hey, I see that you're doing weddings, and then she wanted to just like an internship kind of thing, like, could I shadow you? she basically said, you don't have to pay me, but if I have you hold something like a light stand or anything, you're going to get paid something at least.
Absolutely.
But what I meant with that, is that something that you were taught, like, or did you see in a family member doing that kind of thing? Or was it just like ingrained, like, you're doing something for me, so I need to make sure you're compensated?
My mom, off top. So growing up, it's always been like me and my mom. My dad lives in LA. Love him to death. Like, they're not together though. But they both have been like very supportive. And my mom has always compensated people for anything that they've done for her. Even if it was like she pulled over, somebody put air in her tires, she'll be like, oh, like, you know, here's $10. Like, people's time is valuable. And once time has passed, like, we can't get it back. And you never know, like, you might need a favor one day. That day's just not today. So I'm going to save that, and I'm not going to abuse that because of the relationship that we have. Mother, best friend, boyfriend, homegirl, any of that.
That's awesome.
I don't need a favor right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great way to look at stuff, because I think we all kind of like live in our own bubble. Like, as far as like we are our own celebrities at this point, you know,
Right.
Because of Instagram.
We're the
and
main
social media.
character.
Right.
Yeah, and we think that we're entitled to services, even as small as, you know, like air in the tire, you know, or just a chat sometimes, that we need to speak to somebody, you know, that kind of thing. Like, if you're going to give out energy, at least reciprocate that type of energy as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
My mom always said, like, you know, which most of our parents have instilled in us, like, treat people how you want to be treated. You know, I'm definitely always willing to lend a helping hand. And sometimes people will offer to compensate me for something that I do, and I'll decline. And sometimes I'll accept, because the times in which I do accept, it's because I want to encourage them to maintain that skill.
that's awesome.
Wow. That's kind of deep.
Oh my gosh.
Because I feel like, you know, people don't, a lot of times when someone does want to compensate you for something, like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But like, thinking about it in that sense, like, is this something that I want to see them continue doing in their life? I should pay more attention to that.
Yeah.
People. Yeah.
My godson, my mom recently relocated to a different house, and she needed like some stuff done in her yard. I heard my godson, he absolutely got paid for every minute.
Wow.
And I treated him to lunch.
There you go.
Sometimes the crew, like, I'll treat them to lunch. I'll pull up on them with donuts, coffee.
Yeah.
For their birthdays, everyone gets a gift card of some sort. Amazon, Yard House, Subway, something.
Yeah.
One of my employees recently graduated, or former employee recently graduated from barber school.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so we went, I invited the team, and those that could make it made it. It was very much so like a volunteer opportunity. And when they got there, they were just like so enthusiastic. I was like, we're throwing this time on your timesheet for sure. So they were compensated. I took him like a Visa gift card, because I wanted him to be able to spend it wherever he'd like. Balloons, donuts.
Did he know you guys were going to show up?
He knew I was going to show up. He didn't know that anyone else was going to, because he actually was with us prior to starting barbering.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was very exciting.
And you will remember that for sure.
For sure.
Those are the things that I do understand now. Like, when you have people like backing you up in that way, like, you just feel better. Like, it just makes your accomplishment so much better. Like, you did it for yourself, of course, but still, like, seeing friends and, you know, acquaintances being there just to celebrate that moment with you just feels so much better.
Right, for sure. Anything positive should be celebrated, especially like you said, we live in California. It's very expensive, and it's tough times for some people, even though they're not disclosing that it is. And I want to make sure that people understand that there are people with good hearts and pure intentions without the expectation of something in return. You know what I'm saying? We engage in a business exchange, yes. However, I think so much more of my employees, and I want to encourage them and follow their lead with whatever their interests are. And I even told him, I said, you know, when you're ready to start your like barbershop, I don't know the cosmetology industry, but I am familiar with how to acquire a business office, you know, how to establish an LLC. I got you free of charge. Like,
That's awesome.
You supported the crew. Like, it is without question that I'm going to support you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Building a network too.
Absolutely.
Like, and I think that's a big thing, especially with his endeavor in like becoming, you know, his own, like a barber, and then, you know, maybe eventually having his own shop, like having that connection to you, having that relationship with you, and gaining that knowledge from you.
Yeah.
Because you know, it's a lot to learn it on your own, and it's just so much more valuable when you have someone there who can like guide you along the way and tell you like you were saying earlier, people have already done those things, and you don't have to go through that same process of learning all that stuff and making those mistakes. You can already like get that knowledge from those people who've already gone through it.
Absolutely. For sure.
What's something that like someone who is starting a business or maybe has an idea for a business, do you have like any advice for them to like get that started?
Do your research. Do your research. Because again, a business is a lot more than a website and a pretty business card. And if you're not invested, then it's not going to work out. You have to like go all in on it, and you can't establish a plan B if you want it to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also it's just the idea that we fantasize everything being so easy. And I think that's one thing that a lot of kids out here, they want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't understand the concept of what that even means.
Right.
Like the time spent working for yourself, it's going to be so much more work than if you were working for someone else. Of course, it's more rewarding to work for yourself, but you're going to do a lot of things for free.
Right.
A lot of things for free, whether it's on a Sunday, whether it's on a weekday, whatever type of day that you have, you're going to work and it's because it's for you.
Right.
And I think a lot of people kind of fantasize the idea like, oh, I want to establish a business so that I could go and do whatever I want on these days. And I'm like, maybe,
right.
Maybe one day, but in the beginning for the first 5 years, maybe 10 years, you're going to need to work more than you'll ever even
imagine.
Have thought.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I think that also too, when it comes to business, it's important to do an industry analysis. Just because you want to open up a food truck doesn't mean that in this area at this time it's best. And so for me, I did a lot of evaluations of the local cleaning companies, and I also did evaluations of private housekeepers that I know, what are your prices like? If this is a condition of the home, how do you handle that? If this goes wrong, how do you handle that? You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's also valuable. With also some advice that I would like to provide to newer business owners or those that are in pursuit of establishing their business, understanding the value in being an employee somewhere else. And I think that's something I really wanted to make sure that I highlighted during our time together today, is that I value my role as an employee. And I think that with this entrepreneur culture that's going on right now, everyone makes it look like cake on Instagram, but a lot of people are not transparent about the fact that, yeah, I made 6 figures and I paid out $60K in payroll. So it's really not a lot, it's not a lot of money. And then also too, the barriers. I experienced my first workers' compensation claim this year.
Wow.
And I'm grateful that it happened the way that it did, with some respects, because I think that that's going to be beneficial in the future, because there's going to be another claim to come.
Yeah.
There's
always someone else.
There's always someone else.
There's always someone else trying to take advantage. Yeah, and that's something that I've kind of understood too, because and this is where I'm grateful to have my team too, because sometimes I get stuck on tunnel vision on certain particular stuff. And I trust Ari, I guess, the way that you trust your...
Honorina.
Yeah.
Honorina.
Where she'll see certain characteristics or certain things from other people. And like I said, I get tunnel vision. So it's almost like out of respect, she'll tell me hey, maybe we should, start looking at, and that's where I kind of the gratitude comes in, because I am so focused on this one thing and task that I think everything else is 100% gravy, but it's not, and I think we just have to establish that too. Like you said in the beginning, it's not just one person building a team. It's just it's a whole, it's like village,
right.
style. But yeah, it's just, it's one of those things that you learn as you experience these negatives,
right.
And from these negatives you grow, and you're okay, now your eyes are more open, because I was a lot more trustworthy in the beginning too. I was
oh, really?
Oh, way more trustworthy.
Oh, okay. I was always skeptical.
No, because I wasn't going into this type of category business ever into becoming a business. It kind of just fell into my lap. I just did something, and it just happened that people needed it. and it grew. And I'm like, oh, I didn't analyze. I didn't do
He didn't
question
do his
marks.
research.
You know, I didn't do my research. I was always an entrepreneur by trait because I come from Mexico. I couldn't even get a McDonald's job. You know,
you were born there?
I was born in Mexico.
Oh, cool.
I didn't have a social security number until I was like 25. I didn't have my license until I was like 25. So there's a lot of things that I wasn't able to do because I wasn't born with those privileges.
Okay.
So of course, off of that, necessity came about where you need to work regardless if there is a person giving you the work. So I started establishing my own businesses. I wanted to be a music teacher. So I started giving guitar lessons, started that business, but it was necessity. It wasn't a want, it was necessity.
Right.
And then from there, I stopped music, started doing photographs, started doing weddings. And I'm like, oh, there's something here. But it wasn't like I was thinking, oh, I'm going to build a team and I'm going to build a business. I'm going to have a studio one day. So that's what I mean. It's just my experiences were off of like, oh, fantasy land, you know, that kind of thing. It was more you're just logical, like business oriented from the beginning. And mine was just like, okay, I could trust this person because I hung out with them a couple times, or I could trust this person because I've known them for a while. And that's kind of where I'm now going back. Now I don't. I like.
Oh, don't get me started. let me suit up. When it comes to business, business is business.
Yeah.
And I actually have people that reach out to me for employment opportunities. And if we have a personal relationship, the answer is no, because I'm the facilitator of peace at the Crew Cleaning Services. And if I have to pull your card, I'm going to. And if we need to have a tough conversation, we're going to have it. And there is no past. There is no exception. I remember I had like a former employee who said they wanted their last paycheck cash app to them. I said, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? No, I'll run payroll, issue your final paycheck, and we're going to pay payroll taxes. I'm going to pay my end and you're going to pay your portion. You know what I mean? And I also think that you just can never be too careful. And I think that when you bend and flex the rules, there's always a big lesson to follow. It may not be right away, but it is coming. And I've even learned that here at the Crew myself, because I have made some exceptions and it's demonstrated like, like that was a policy for a reason. That was a rule for a reason.
Yeah. But like I said, you've actually went into the concepts of these thoughts beforehand.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The biggest reason I want to share with you guys this. I'm always like, I'm so private. So this is actually like a big deal for me that I'm here. Like this is a huge milestone.
And we're grateful that you're here, because she told me, it's like, oh, cool. Like another entrepreneur. I love meeting other people that are in the same pathway that I am in. Of course, you're not a photographer, but you at least feel the same struggles that I feel. So it's amazing to feel someone's energy that I'm like, oh, she gets it.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing.
For me, the Crew was opened with cash. So like if it doesn't work, it's a major loss to me and I'm not willing to accept that loss. So it has to work. So for me, that's why I was so diligent about what are the big takeaways that other owners and operators have found that I can implement? And then as we grow and as lessons are learned, I put those into our policies and they're held constant.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing too, that a lot of people don't really put the effort into in the beginning. And I mean, every situation is different, but I think if you are intending to open a business and you want to be successful, that is going to be a big part of it. It's like
huge part of it.
Like you have to be the one doing the research. You can't rely on anyone else, especially if it's your own business. Like it's kind of, it falls on you to do that. And I think that's where a lot of businesses end up like not working out or falling apart after like a year or two, because they don't have those structures in place or that discipline to actually like learn for themselves what these things mean, and adapting and refining policies or changing things, or like you said, like making those hard decisions of like, I'm not gonna hire friends, or I'm not gonna put up with this type of behavior, or you know, you have to be like very, very rigid about certain things.
Yes, and I document everything. So once you join our team, like you have to message me. If it's a text message, it's in House Call Pro. They're not allowed to text me. And actually, my team doesn't have my personal phone number. I, from the beginning, from the onset, established a business office, business phone number, business address, all of those things, because when you show up as a professional, you need to look like that professional. You know what I'm saying? So that was definitely like important for me. And I have like quarterly meetings with my team to check in with them about like progress, like feedback. I have a performance improvement plan template. So if things are not working, then we need to implement a new plan of action for me to support you and to hold you accountable, because I obviously don't want to just terminate you, even though I can, because this is California and this is the at will state.
Snap, snap.
Snap, snap. I want to encourage you to be a better version of yourself, but I have to protect the business, and that's my responsibility. And if there is a major lawsuit or a major loss, it doesn't just affect me, it affects the rest of the team as well. And I've been fortunate enough in the first 2 years to have my employees go and get apartments with their paycheck stubs, go and buy cars with their paycheck stubs. Very, very cool things have happened as a result of our revenue stream. So
yeah, and I think that's important too, like as a business owner, like celebrating like you're saying, celebrating those little achievements of your employees and like recognizing that and encouraging them, because I think that builds a really strong team, and that makes them want to work even harder for you, because it's like you're supporting them, you're cheering them on. So it's like, then it just gets reciprocated.
And I don't ask my team to do anything I won't do myself. So for example, we don't even use like toilet brushes. We use nitrile gloves. It's my expectation that you have a pumice stone, that you have gloves on, a mask on, and that you're scouring out toilets. Because that's the best quality, your hand.
I think it's amazing that you kind of went into school, you got the title, you went like literally you got a degree, and you're doing certain things, and literally your business is built off of what most people won't find attractive. But you found a way where you took that image and you're like, no, this is money.
Yes.
Like this is money. And I think that's what a lot of, because I get a lot of photographers and creatives that come in here and they'll ask me about how to build a business, how do you establish this? And I'm like, okay, what type of photography are you trying to do? And most people are trying to get into like the things that are the most popular, things that are on Instagram, like cars and models and that type of category. I'm like, okay, that within itself, everyone's doing. So I already understand that there's no money in it. If everyone's doing it for free, understand why are people going to pay for you when other people are doing it for free.
Wait, I don't agree though. I don't agree. I think that we all could provide the same service, but my recipe might be different, right? If you make pumpkin pie and I make pumpkin pie, my pumpkin pie is going to be better.
Yeah. But when it comes down to the margins of where are people willing to pay right now, as far as like, let's say, okay, let's go at your analogy, the pumpkin pie. So we're all making pumpkin pie. Right now, we're all starting right now. Like literally, it looks the same, it smells the same, but yours might taste better. I could be heavier on making the pumpkin pie and establishing my business right away. Recommendations, you take more time, you spend more time on your pie, your image or whatever. But because now there's two of us and now the price point has been established by me and Ari, even though yours is more delicious, we already dictated the margin as far as like the price point. So it's going to be a little bit harder. Now, what I'm saying about the photographers, because like everyone's wanting to get into editorial. I know a lot of photographers that are still trying to be in an editorial. They'll get a job here and there, like where the amount of money that they'll make is like maybe $2,000 in 4 months, because every photographer is wanting to do editorial. It's just like I could make, like $200 today, but it's going to be consistent, because what we do, it's not fancy, it's not luxurious. It's not established as commercial, people aren't pushing themselves or the idea I'm going to go do a real estate photo today. Rather, I want to go shoot a beautiful girl.
Yeah, it's not glamorous, I guess, when it comes to the art side of things, the creative side of things. It's like everyone always wants to do what is
It's
like
popular.
what you see everywhere, like the glamorous stuff, right? Like going out and shooting models and shooting.
That's what I mean with
awesome
your work.
commercials.
You put all the concepts that you've learned from business, therapy, everything, and then establish it into your employees, your clients, and then you saw a need or a solution that you wanted to solve, which is like your cleaning service. Someone's gonna always want a cleaning for somewhere, rather than you saying, I want to just go to the Beverly Hills and only service them. Yeah, you could have done it, maybe one, but the amount of money you would have made would have been greater on just one, I guess, a luxurious house, because it's so much bigger.
Right.
But how many of those are you going to do from the beginning? Like you have to establish your momentum first, which is what you're doing now. You're like, whatever you could get, and then establish your team little by little. And like you said, you already have this understanding of like, sometimes smaller is better.
Definitely.
The concept of like, I could entertain the idea that I could grow bigger, but then it's going to be out of my control now at that point. Because now I need someone just like me to be out there, to already understand that these are the standards. And because it's your business, unfortunately, only you're going to see that.
Right. That's definitely true. I feel you. I'm with you.
and I think to that point, like, and it goes back to like, if you want to start a business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, another big thing of that is like, what, like, not just what service are you providing or what is your business going to be around, but also what is like the mission of your business, or what is your like mission statement, right? Like for yours, it's integrity and quality.
Right.
And you're going to stay true to that no matter where like your business grows to or how it develops. Like that is at the core of your business. And I think that's what maybe some businesses might be missing, or some entrepreneurs aren't thinking about. And so then they kind of end up going all over the place.
They
because
focus
they don't
on
have
just
one
the money.
Specific goal in mind of what is important to their business and what's at the core of their business. And I think that's very important.
Thank you. I agree. That definitely is something that I take inventory of daily. And that's actually a major reason why we do not offer same day services. Actually, just before we got started, someone called. Someone called and he's like, hey, can someone help us out this morning? It's like, absolutely not. Yeah. No, we can come like within 48 hours. That's my booking window. And also too, because sometimes we have recurring appointments that are scheduled on our calendar. So all of our services for our recurring clients, their bills are due like between the 1st and the 5th, and I place services on hold on the 6th. And I do that because I front load all of those service appointments on the calendar for the month, and I book everyone else around that. Everything else has to go around that. And then with our property management partners, I give them like a 1 week window, like from the time in which they tell us I need to get it done within a week is what my agreement is, because my team is small and because sometimes we are a little busy. 3 appointments in a day is a lot for us. It's a lot. And I have to I need to incorporate lunch breaks, rest breaks, because we're operating with integrity. So that's definitely important.
Yeah. Question from a business owner to a business owner.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I could learn something from you on this question, because you had said something about you being so organized on everything that you've done so far.
Oh my gosh. Don't get me started with organization, because it's next level.
So as far as like steps and levels that you're kind of like you established for the cleaning, like your system, when it comes down to actually letting people go, do you have a system? Like
I do.
Like you have a warning first, and then you have like...
I have a performance improvement plan.
Okay.
So, and it outlines like the first response after the issue has continued.
And is this said before even being hired? Like, okay, when you're hired, you're going to be now, these are my standards. And if you don't meet them, I'm going to, these are the steps that you're going to need to look for. And already in a sense, once these steps already started, don't get surprised when you're let go.
Absolutely. Okay. And everyone understands that there's a 90-day introductory period. So I call it getting colored up. And so once you're hired, you're able to have an apron, you're able to have a name tag, but you do not have like any colored merch. So like this shirt here.
Oh, cool.
Yes, until you've hit your 90-day mark, because I am very, very committed to embroidery. and us just looking very sleek, professional, nice. And so if you're going to be temporary, then why am I going to make that investment?
Yeah.
And 90 days is a great window to see what you really got, because some people don't make it.
Wow.
I've had people call me like, oh, I want to do, or tell me during their interviews, I want to do disaster cleaning. Someone told me like, I want to do disaster cleaning. I put them in a disaster situation and they cracked.
But what is, I don't know what a disaster cleaning is. It sounds disastrous.
Honestly, I don't think I know either. I'm like, wait, like, did a hurricane happen?
Like natural disasters? That's what I'm thinking. That's what it sounds like
I
to
don't
me.
know.
Yeah, like a hurricane or after a fire.
I think it's just from her perspective, I think was just like a really messy
Like a hoarder?
situation. Yeah.
Okay.
But she was given the opportunity and
She didn't.
she didn't show up.
Oh, she didn't show up.
She didn't show up for herself
Oh,
with
okay.
what she said that she had to offer.
Okay.
And I thought that was interesting.
She like gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no.
I think
Like, I'm
that
not
people,
sticking my hands in that toilet.
right. I think that people think that it's easy what we do,
Yeah.
and it's actually really not.
Yeah.
And that's why I always like try to reiterate to our clients, like, our price point is where it is because of the time that my team puts into their work. And our reviews are definitely representative of that. And so that's not going to change. And so you have to meet the crew standard when you join our team. And we definitely are going to embrace you and we welcome your ideas as well. But we have systems that work and we're not interested in fixing something that's not broken. But we can build on it.
Yeah. And I'm actually appreciative of those that do cleaning services and do a great job, because we do real estate photography and videography. One more time, I've gone to houses where the cleaning ladies are still there and they're just lingering. Like there was one, and I don't want to give out names who it was or from where it came from, but he hires crack ladies, like ex-crack ladies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no joke.
What?
Yeah, I'm not even joking. I'm like,
That's wild.
I was going into a house where there's no AC, there's no swan coolers in the middle of the summer. I got there thinking that it was going to be vacant already. They told me, here's the combo box, go in whenever you want. I'm like, I'm going to get there early so that I don't hit that heat wave. So I was like, I'll get there at 9 in the morning, be done by 10. Got there at around 9. The cleaning people were still there, and you could already tell the type of...
No, not the crew.
Or the two... Or the cleaning people that were that they hired were still there, and you could already tell, like, I'm like, why would you hire these people? Like they were so slow and like moving. I started doing stuff for them and I'm like, I'll work around you. I just wanted to get out. Like I honestly, because it was hot. It was so hot. And some of these houses do not have AC, do not have swan
We don't
coolers.
service homes that don't have properly functioning air conditioning systems.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we still do. So, but that's why I try to get there early and I do it quick. Like that house should have maybe 30 minutes.
Okay.
In and out. I'm not really picking anything up besides my tripod and my camera. So it's not like I'm mopping or anything. So I'm not really doing a lot of things that will make me even hotter or my heat go a lot further. But literally, I just had one section of the house to do, and I was already done with the bedrooms. I was already done with the bathrooms. And that lady from the beginning told me, I just need to mop this floor. And I had done all of that stuff, and yet she hadn't mopped nothing. She hadn't gone to mop.
Oh, wow.
Nothing. And I told her,
I can't believe they double booked you.
they were supposed to be gone by the time I got there. They were supposed to be gone. Like, but I'm pretty sure they showed up whenever they felt like it.
Right.
And that's what happened. And of course I told her like, okay, well, I'm going to go outside, do the outside stuff. And by the time I come back in, is there any way this could be finished? And I did the outside stuff. But before that, I basically had to almost tell her what to do, because while I was doing one section, like the kitchen, I went to the part where I thought she was going to be done. I saw a hallway, and all I could see in the hallway is her feet just laying on the floor of the bedroom. So she was just laying on the floor.
Wait, laying down?
Laying down.
Chilling. What?
But that's what I mean, ex-crackhead.
I am so taken back.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
Exactly. An ex-crackhead. I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what else would I call it? I'm like, okay, well, I went outside, told her, I'm like, hey, I'm done. You're now telling her, now you need to do this. And I went outside to the front yard, and she comes out with the mop. The mop was wet. And
outside,
you would think that the mop would be facing up, so like the wet part of the mop is facing up, not touching the ground. She was dragging the mop, and this was like
outside.
dirty concrete, And then she went to the dirt section to put it in her car. I don't know where she was going to put it, but literally dragged it on the sand, the mop.
The mop?
The mop. So the mop was
While
just
it was
getting
wet?
muddy. Yeah, while it was wet.
That's gross.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, extract it.
That's a mess.
So I appreciate when there's quality of services in that your service, because I 100% understand the most negatives, which is that.
Yep.
And then the most positives, when we're in there, I'm like, this house smells so good.
And you get what you pay for. And to be honest, I love realtors. I do. They can be so cheap.
Yes. Yeah.
They can be so cheap. And I'm like, you want to sell this beautiful home and it's not so beautiful when it's dirty. You know what I'm saying? So I actually don't work with realtors for that reason right now.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I could say it too, as far as like when it comes to realtors, and there's so many realtors that we have great relationships with, and we understand those are the ones that are thriving.
Right.
And then those that are barely making it right now are the ones that didn't do the most for their past clients, because the referrals come in later on.
Right.
And that's kind of where any type of business, you have to understand, do the most for your client. And if you're barely becoming an entrepreneur, and I would consider them entrepreneur because they get paid off of the houses they sell.
The commission.
Yeah. So it's basically the same thing. They don't have salary. They don't have 9-to-5 job. And I would honestly say those that did the most when there was a lot that was given to them, and if you did the cleaning properly, if you paid your photographers properly, if you promoted properly, if you literally did the most for yourself, now it's coming in when it's kind of slower right now.
Right.
And those are the ones that we're still servicing.
Right.
So I understand there's that concept of like the realtor that doesn't want to even pay what we service because they think we're a lot. And I'm like, we're not even that expensive,
right?
For what we're servicing.
If you break it down,
we're not that expensive. So I 100% understand. But of course, like we have established already a good relationship with the ones that we want to service.
That's what's up. And we've established relationships with some local property management partners. So that's been helpful with our growth. The turnovers are my favorite. I do hope to transition to post-constructions and turnovers only one day, and maybe move out cleanings for like private clients as far as residential is concerned, because the profit margin on a turnover is wild, absolutely wild, to be frank. And then we're just also able to increase the level of quality because we're not working around personal items. We're not working around furniture. And for us, I also want people to understand the difference between like a maid service and a cleaning service. Like, I'm not here to do your laundry. We don't even do dishes. I'm here to make sure that grout is touched up. I'm here to make sure those stains are out the toilet. And if I'm spending time dealing with your like 1,000 bottles of perfume, I had a viral YouTube star that was one of our clients, but they moved out of the area and they had a pretty clean house, but they had like so many personal like promotional items, and all those things have to get dusted off, and that takes time. And for us, we charge a flat rate by size and square footage, but then depending on the service needs, sometimes I recommend custom cleanings, which is an hourly rate with a 2-hour minimum.
And when it comes down to these custom prices, do you go before you make an actual agreement, or do you see it when you get there and like, oh, I think we may need to do a custom?
Okay, that's actually a great question. So for us, like, I'm big on time, right? Right now, I oversee most, or if not all, operations of the business. So I don't have a lot of daytime, and I also don't want to waste time or gas, because gas is expensive still. I'm confused. So if it's a standard cleaning, then I can confirm pricing with a like video conferencing, Google Meets, FaceTime, something like that, or pictures. However, if you need like a deluxe cleaning, then I charge an in-person walkthrough fee of $30. And then if you schedule with us, then that's waived within your overall cost for your service.
That's
and if
cool.
not, then my gas is paid for and we're square.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's smart.
Yeah, I think that a lot of it is definitely not a great idea to commit to a deep cleaning as a cleaning company before seeing it, because once you start moving things around, you start finding out all those deep dark secrets
Yeah.
in these houses.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'm very careful about. So I will not confirm pricing for a deluxe cleaning.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of houses that we've been to. I'm like, ooh, they needed a deep cleaning. I'm like, bro,
They need
why?
a demon's exercise.
Why
from
am
the
I
house.
in here?
You're so funny.
It's insane.
Yeah, I've seen them. I mean, I haven't been in person, but I've seen the photos.
Yeah, she
and
sees
I'm
the
just
photos.
Oh, yeah.
and the photos make, it always looks nicer than what it looks like in person.
Yeah, we don't
so-
capture the smell. Yeah, they wouldn't.
Not the smell.
The smell does not come included.
Oh, speaking of smells, people are always like reaching out to us and they're like, what air fresheners do you use? And I'm like, none. If the property is cleaned, it should smell fresh. The only place that we sometimes use like plugins post cleaning are turnovers, and that's if they have a delayed move-in date or they don't have a tenant that's going to move in because it's going to be closed up
Yeah.
and gets a little stuffy. But other than that, no. Like the commercial cleaning products that we use
There you go.
get us right.
So you think about everything.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, this is amazing. This is the reason why I like talking to people like you, because even the questions that I'm asking you have nothing to do with my photography business, but even like the turnarounds going into the house, like what your pricing points, like is it like already like direct, this is my price before I get there. These are
Right.
things that have nothing to do with my category work, but it gives me different ideas and concepts
Right.
of like maybe how to charge or
Business
the
plan,
policies.
even, how to run your business.
Yeah, it gives me a different function of like concepts, like okay,
Like,
maybe this
we
is how
should be charging for this thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that upsells are important. So for
Yeah.
us, like windows are an add-on, irrespective to the package that you select. Blinds are an add-on.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, well, I know your time is valuable. I know you have a lot of things going on, so don't want to keep you for too long. But before we wrap this up, do you have any last questions,
Oh,
Irvin?
bro, I could go forever.
We'll have to have
We're
you
gonna
back.
need to do a part 2 for sure. I literally could go forever.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I could go
Like I
forever.
said, I'm like stepping outside of my box being here.
Yeah.
This is a big deal for me and it means a lot. Thank you for allowing me to share the
Yeah.
crew with you all
Yeah.
and share a little bit of my personal experiences. I would love to come back.
Oh yeah, more than 100%. It's gonna definitely happen.
Yeah.
For sure.
1000%.
But only if you schedule us to clean the studio.
Oh, okay. We'll vlog it.
Yes.
Vlog it.
Oh wait, before we go, I wanted to also share something that I think that has been helpful in creating opportunities for us is I always find a reason to talk about the crew, and I always find a reason to talk about behavior analysis when I meet people, like even an Uber driver. I'm like, yeah, so do you do anything besides this? And then they'll ask me, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I do.
Yes.
Because you're excited about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely
You're
excited about it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Excitement is very attractive when you're confident, when you don't seem like you're bogged down or just doing it for the paycheck. That makes the difference. And I think that that's also been valuable for us, me continuing to work in my career and not abandoning my career for my business is because I'm not stressed about money. So if this is not a good fit for me as a client, then I'm not taking the job.
That's awesome.
I've turned down, like, there was a school out here. It was like $6,000 a month contract. Absolutely turned it down because the energy between myself and the director just wasn't there. And sometimes you have to make that call.
And to be honest with you, $6,000 a month right now,
Right.
out here doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right.
Especially for your happiness.
Right.
Like honestly, margins when it comes to budgets and money, because I'm always thinking about money as well. Like if there is a person out there that wants to live in California that's in their early 20s, understand that now your actual livable wage out here monthly has to be within 8,000 to 10,000.
Absolutely.
Like if you're within the 5 to 6, like you're
Getting by.
Yeah, you're getting by, exactly. So that's my thing. Like I'm always trying to figure out different ways. Like I have to elevate. Like it's only going to get worse. It's not going to go any for like gas. Like we're saying, how is it still going up? Like how is this possible?
Right.
Like everything's going up. Like I have to start thinking further ahead rather than staying in the moment. And I get it. We have to at least think of the moment at some point, and feel gratitude and everything. But you have to think about the future because the future is
Absolutely.
very important. And I think a lot of young kids out there right now are thinking about, I want to have fun right now. I want to live my best life and all that. great. That's amazing and everything. And you should enjoy life. But honestly, you have to think about the future as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And making sure that all your decisions are stepping stones for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was my last, because like I said, if you get me going, I'll keep going. Like I don't want to take too much of your time, but for sure I do want to have you back.
Okay.
I want to have an
Thank
update as
you.
far as like your company, how much has grown. If there's any events, just maybe invite us, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
We'll
I would
get
love
there.
that.
Yeah. Your pop-ups or
Yeah.
anything?
And if we have anything, we'll definitely have you guys come through too.
Sounds good.
You know, give you guys shout outs and everything. We support one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was looking at you guys' Instagram page and I was very inspired because one of my goals for this year was to work more on social media. And I made progress, but not as much progress as I would have liked. And like the transitions and the lights and the glistening and the glam, I'm all about it, right? But right now I'm like, I want to learn how to do it myself.
Yeah.
And then I want to empower someone else to do it and put them on payroll because
And
I don't have time for that.
If there's anything that we could do, at least teaching one of your members, or if not
Okay.
teaching you, like we're now using CapCut for the smaller stuff that we've been posting. Recently, I think the last 3 or 4 videos, I've literally used CapCut, and that's on a phone. So you
I
don't,
have that app. Yeah.
so you don't really need to know too much. It's just more of just someone giving you that type of imagination, and like, okay, this is what I did and doing this, and then from there take it. Now it's your imagination. You at least know and understand the tools.
Right.
And that's,
Okay.
that's all it really is. But yeah, if there's anything that we could do, for sure, just reach out and I'll be more than happy to help out.
Thank
and if you guys
you.
want to come in here for at least an hour and like, okay, this is my concepts as far as like CapCut, and CapCut's free, so it's not like you guys aren't having to pay for anything.
I use CapCut and Canva now, and I use the Canva Pro.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that it's, again, just time. And then sometimes I just feel like a little overwhelmed with it because we talked about money, right?
Yeah.
And money is important. And most of our sales are driven through Google, not Instagram or TikTok. And I know that that typically takes a little bit of time, but I have in the cruise phone easily like 4K like worth of videos and pictures. So we have content.
Yeah.
I just need
it's just
to present it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm also too like sometimes like trying to figure out what I want to share, what I don't want to share, what portion of this event would I like to share. And I think that I've been able to open myself up on my personal page. And so now with us knocking on year 4, I'm very excited to transition that practice to the cruise page.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we've been trying to do, to personalize it a little bit more too.
Okay.
Yeah, and on our end too, because I'm very private as well. Like I wasn't like, Ariana was the one posting more of her on our IG for a while.
Yeah, I think for a while, just our Instagram was just like our work.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I think we need to start making this a little more personal. Like
Yeah.
we got to put our faces out there because they know Irvin, but like there's more to the team. So we got to, when people see our page, it's like, pretty photos, but then it's like, who are we? Who is InView?
Yeah.
And I was like, I think we got to start like making videos with us in it. And that's what people are going to connect with more.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
But thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And we definitely appreciate all the knowledge you've dropped because there's a lot that you like, a lot of information that I've at least like, I mean, the both of us have
for sure.
from you in this little short amount of time. But we are going to have you back at some point.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your
having
time.
me.
And could we get at least your where people could reach out to you?
Oh, yes. So you can contact us by Googling us. You can contact us by calling 661-438-1454, emailing us at management@thecrewcleaningservices.com.
Wow.
And what's your Instagram if they want to follow you?
The Crew Cleaning Services LLC is our handle
Cool.
on social media.
Give them a follow, you guys.
Yes.
But
However, if you need services, please contact us by phone or email.
don't Instagram them. Don't DM them on Instagram.
Yeah. Sometimes the requests get caught.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't see them unless I see the request box.
Oh,
so that's a little tricky.
Yeah, that happens
Yeah.
to us too.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of annoying, but thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming. And any last closing remarks before we finish this up, wrap it up?
Remember that cleaning services were once a luxury and are now an essential need.
There you go.
Thank you, everyone.
Guys.
And
We'll see you guys on the next one.
bye.